victim. This is not a threat. If they don't install Kenny Kunene Tuesday, I will resign.
No, I think the important issue that's being raised correctly by Lieutenant General Lamkwanas is the kind of rot that is set in our country. He's pointed to a very, very important issue, this connection between crime and government, criminals and politicians, the weakening generally of the criminal justice system, including all its elements, policing, prosecution, etc. I'm very, very glad that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi had the courage to speak out on this thing. Because at last now we have the possibility of the Matlanga Commission, which will then hear evidence from everybody. So at least the country has a picture of what's the real state of the criminal justice system. Who are these criminals who are doing all sorts of terrible things? Who are they? Where do they come from? How do they operate? To answer those questions, because in the end, there must come a comprehensive response to the issue of crime and corruption in the country. A comprehensive response, and I'm sure that's going to come out of what the Matlanga Commission will hear. And therefore, the practical, actual steps, what is to be taken, will be based on concretely what is happening in the country. I'm very, very, very glad indeed that General Mkhwanazi, General Masemula, the leadership of the police have decided they must speak out publicly about all of these things, because I think the country needs it. The political parties will be invited. That's one. So the ANC will get its own invitation as a participant in the national dialogue. So the ANC itself will have to say, what is it that we would say in the national dialogue about these various matters, economy, this and that and that and the other. So I'm mentioning that community, therefore, to say the issue that people were raising. What are we saying about poverty? What are we saying about unemployment? What about saying the poverty? This is a principal vehicle that we had hoped that this year would address exactly those matters. But in an inclusive thing, not just an ANC delegation, but the people of South Africa themselves, to meet and answer those questions. Which is part of the reason that Comrade President Ramaphosa has said publicly that the words he used is that we'll have to find a way of institutionalizing the outcomes of the national dialogue. By which he means that you can't, once you have the people of South Africa as a whole meet in that format, government cannot ignore what the masses of the people are saying. So this would result in it would impact on the programs that the country must follow. So we are coming back to that. I'm answering the question that's been raised. That the question, therefore, of what is to be done about the specific challenges that are being raised by the people, that's a matter that's very much on the agenda of the national dialogue. And the ANC will be party to that national dialogue, and therefore will help in the process of providing answers as to what is to be done. But I must say, comrades, I listened very attentively to our discussion this afternoon when you were responding to these presentations. I'm very, very glad that we are being honest about the state of the problem.
On the cost of electricity, I've stood here before the country and gave you the assurance that we're working on the resolution on the cost of electricity. From 2007 to 2024, last year, electricity has increased by 937%, compared to an inflation over the same period that has increased by about 155%. So you can see that it's eroding the disposable income of many households. It's not just affecting the poor, of course, it's affecting the poor disproportionately, but the middle class, even the high income earners, are finding it exceptionally difficult to afford the cost of electricity. And of course, it manifests itself in the South African economy, making our goods not competitive on the market. So we are doing everything